We're still waiting for a pending court case still to come. This will be the fourth time we went up against the Home Office on this. Worryingly, we've had some language from the Home Office that makes you question the commitment of the UK government to the Good Friday Agreement in the first place, as they have stated that a treaty Her Majesty's government is a party of has no effect on UK law, and that the courts do not have the power to enforce treaty obligations.
So isn't it a case then your case isn't really down to Brexit, it's more about the failure of the UK to properly implement the Good Friday Agreement?
Yes, and that's definitely an important point right now. It's been 20 years since the Good Friday Agreement, and it still has not been fully implemented and has not been legislated into UK law. So essentially right now, most of the Good Friday Agreement is written in sand. And without legislative protections, Brexit is going to open that up and leave us all vulnerable in Northern Ireland.
So just to clarify then, Brexit would then override the Good Friday Agreement. I mean, at the moment, as you said, there's not even an assembly at Stormont, is there? So Brexit would trump this agreement?
Yes, that is the position of the UK government and the UK Home Office, that they don't have to legally adhere to their commitments under the Good Friday Agreement. So with Brexit coming, we expect that there will be a further distancing from the Good Friday Agreement and the commitments the government has signed up to.
So, but looking on the other side, I mean, many people watching tonight might think that this doesn't really matter then. If you want to bring your non-UK spouse into Northern Ireland and the process says you just declare yourself British or Irish, then why not just choose?
Well, I can't choose. I'm an Irish citizen. I've only ever held an Irish passport, and I am Irish under the Good Friday Agreement. But the government has said that I'm a British citizen. And until I declare myself as British, accept that I'm British, and renounce British citizenship, I cannot be accepted as an Irish citizen in Northern Ireland. The process of renunciation is extremely difficult and unreasonable to expect any Irish citizen to go through, because the first line is a declaration, I am a British citizen. It also costs £372 and will remove your freedom of movement for 6 months. And on top of that, you have to gather a lot of evidence to prove that you are a British citizen, even though you don't identify or accept that you are British in the first place. So the whole process is really not appropriate or anything that should be expected of people in Northern Ireland. And it also goes completely against the Good Friday Agreement. But with the situation of bringing in my non-EU spouse, this is just a window into a much larger issue. Yes, we see here that there is a problem with the UK government adhering to their commitments under the Good Friday Agreement in terms of immigration. But after Brexit, that could be opened up into many more levels and many more areas.
Well, I mean, then, judging by what you're saying, then, that's a case of it's inevitable, isn't it? The UK voted to leave the EU, so Northern Ireland residents will have to declare themselves one or the other to get UK or EU rights.
Yes, but that in itself is a breach of the Good Friday Agreement. Bear in mind, the Good Friday Agreement allows the people of Northern Ireland to be Irish or British or both. It is meant to be equal. There can be no detrimental or differential treatment between the two communities, and yet there already is differential treatment between the two communities of Northern Ireland. And we're already seeing the effect of Brexit now, because we have people that identify as British having to go out and get Irish passports because they need to access freedom of movement, and we have Irish passport holders having to renounce British citizenship in order to access EU family rights. So the people of Northern Ireland are supposed to have a choice, but in reality, with Brexit, we don't have a choice at all.
And what other pitfalls do you think will occur after Brexit?
Well, I think the Common Travel Area is also not fully legislated. It's a political agreement, and there is a risk that, of course, we're not expecting the mass deportation or mass restrictions on Irish citizens, but there will be people on the margins, people who will be vulnerable, people who will suffer through the Home Office due to there not being enough legislation in place. In terms of the Good Friday Agreement, we're seeing here that the Home Office is refusing the EU right to family life based on dual nationality.